Okay, so why self-improvement didn't really work for me and why it probably isn't really working for you too. Now it does work in some extent, right? It makes you stronger. It makes a part of you stronger. The gym, these good habits, working hard, having a positive mentality, cutting out all of the bad shit for you, that's bringing you higher, right? But here's the thing. Chances are during your teenage years, if you were anything like me and you're a bit of a nerd, right, a bit low in the social hierarchy, and you felt quite embarrassed and cringed out about yourself, you have this part of you that's like lower. And the reason why you get into self improvement is because maybe your self esteem is low, you're trying to become higher, and you have this aspiration, right? So you get into it. But then when you kind of increase it, right? When you increase it, what happens is that old part of you still persists, right? It still persists. And so the problem is basically that you have this Jekyll and Hyde situation where you have two parts of you. Most of the time, maybe, or at least maybe not even some of the time, maybe not even most of the time, maybe some of the time, you're confident and you're feeling good and you're feeling high self esteem. But a lot of the time, especially in certain triggering situations, maybe it's around girls, maybe it's around people in general, maybe it's. I don't know which situations you feel these old parts resurface. These old parts resurface, right? And because these old parts resurface, you're like, oh no, I haven't done enough self improvement. I need to improve more. I need to go harder. I need to, I need to get bigger in the gym. I need to get more girls. I need to, I don't know, do whatever you think you need to do in order to improve your self esteem. But the problem that I've experienced, right, is I did this. I basically was obsessed with cold approach, and at one point with the gym, I thought if I get more muscles and if I become like normal sized, because before I was extremely skinny, so I thought if I become normal sized, then I'll feel normal, right? Not terrible logic, but not that good either. And then I thought, okay, if I do good in cold approach, then I'll become more confident. I'll approach girls. I'll get laid more. I'll get more chicks. And by virtue of getting more chicks, I'll become more confident. That was my game plan, really. But all this does is it makes that part of you better, but it doesn't deal with this part over here that feels really down. And so this part that's really down, that part persists, right? So I think the dilemma with self-improvement is that too many guys are under this impression that if I just make myself bigger and more money and more whatever, then that will eventually cure my like low self-image or low self-worth or whatever. I don't think it's the case at all. I don't think it addresses the root problem. And I've got evidence of this now that I'm doing this new work, this new therapy shit, and I'm unburdening these old parts. So now I'm just kind of feeling more normal. And so if you're in a position where you've gone through the self-improvement stuff, you have made gains, you have improved your life, but you still have those old parts of you from your teenage years, and you're like, why is it the self-improvement stuff's not really working? And you're kind of under delusion of, oh, I just need to improve more. Just need to improve more. Just need to keep going. And I'll feel better. I'll feel better. I'll feel better. I don't think it's going to work. Because the root is still there. And the root goes unchanged. All you do when you do self-improvement, in my view now, is you just make yourself bigger. But you don't address any of the root problems that were there to begin with. And the problem is, of course, when you feel these root problems, and then you're like, I'm feeling these root problems. Time to improve more. Make myself bigger, bigger, bigger. All you're doing is creating this situation where there's just two contradicting parts of you that exist separately. And this is how I was living before. And I think this is why people have, like bodybuilders have low self-esteem even though they're huge. Like the way that I think people get into like proper bodybuilding and steroids and all that, or even like money and scamming and all of that stuff, is they believe so much that, oh man, if I just become huge, then people will respect me and I won't feel insecure. But then they get there and you see these insecure bodybuilder types everywhere. Isn't this evidence enough? For me, it feels like evidence enough personally. Like the fact that I see like steroid bodybuilders and they're clearly insecure. Obviously, it didn't work then, did it? Or like there was this Muay Thai teacher at the old gym that I went to, and he was like, I do boxing and I do Muay Thai because, I need to keep the demons at bay. And I'm like, bruv, if you have demons after so much Muay Thai training, and you're now a gold belt or whatever, like the top. He's like the top belt you can even get in Muay Thai, like he's like in his late 40s, like the top of the top. Like, if getting really good at martial arts was sufficient to beat your demons, you'd have beaten them. The fact that you're still fighting them means that all your martial arts training hasn't actually addressed the root of your low self-esteem. Do you know what I'm saying? It hasn't really addressed the root. It's made yourself larger, it's made yourself bigger, but it hasn't. It's made this part bigger, but this part here is still there. And it's just, and those are and you call these things demons. They're not really demons, it's just an old part of you. Really. And so this raises the question, okay, what's the solution? I think the solution is in this shit, because this is what's worked for me. Unlocking the emotional brain. The idea is that when you unlock the emotional brain, you can pause the video and look at that title. It's by Bruce Ecker. When you unlock the emotional brain, you're dealing with this part down here. You're going back in time mentally using these imagination exercises. You're seeing what really happened, and then you can basically learn to contradict the learnings that you arrived at then, the learnings that you arrived at then. So let's say in school, for me, it was like, oh, if I'm seen, then I could be taken the piss out of. So my solution was, okay, don't be seen, be shy, be small, go unseen, right? That was the solution at the time that worked. But then over time, that solution, the solution at the time, persists, and these learnings are very resilient. He talks about it in the book. These learnings are very resilient in the brain, and so as time goes by, you're not really in a position to, because you think this is how life is, like low-key, your brain thinks this is how life is, like, oh, if I'm seen, then bad shit's going to happen, so I remain unseen. And then you grow up and you're this adult man, and the problem that the learning was trying to protect you from no longer exists because you're an adult, but you still react as though it does. And so you're living in this perpetual nightmare of your own creation. But you can go back, you can unlock these learnings, loosen them up, juxtapose them, relearn things from a modern perspective, and then you sort of upgrade to becoming, you update these old learnings to become how life is now. And then you don't experience the same shit that you experienced back then. And now, I'm not saying don't do your self-improvement, by the way. I'm good to keep improving my life. I like it, I love it, it's great. But I'm not under the delusion that I think that improving my life loads is going to improve my demons. That I don't make that conclusion anymore. That I don't think is true. I think the way that you solve your demons is by going to them directly and by doing this stuff, as opposed to trying to outwork them or whatever. I don't think that works. It hasn't worked for me. And I've been doing this self-improvement stuff since I was 18. I'm 25 now, and only now, recently, have I started to seriously, reconsolidate these demons such that I don't experience them. And I still have them, but with you'll see in my videos uploaded, the social anxiety thing for me has really gone a lot. It's really gone. Still got other issues, but the social anxiety one, man, it's really taken a fucking hit. A huge hit. I don't feel like it's much of a problem now, really. It's crazy. It's really, really cool. I feel like I can walk around. It's not as much of a problem. It's really, really great. So that's why I think self-improving is only really part of the solution. And if you've been on self-improvement for a couple of years, you've experienced big gains in your life, but I don't think it's going to ever solve those roots. That's my argument.